Good morning, students. Yesterday we had discussed sexual reproduction and we had discussed till spore formation. Okay, so I hope you all are very safe in your homes because it is a very crisis situation of COVID-19, and I would like to tell you all that it's better you remain safe in your home because it will affect your health as well as it will affect the health of your parents also. So I hope you all are safe. Now let's start with our second session. Yesterday we had discussed the entire sexual reproduction till spore formation. Now we will specially see the asexual reproduction in plants. Okay, so we will start with a term which is called as vegetative propagation. So plant follow asexual reproduction by two methods. One is called as uh, one is called as wait a minute. One is called as a gamospermy. A gamospermy means where only one parent is able to produce a haploid gamete, and that haploid gamete gives rise to an embryo. Okay, generally what happens when the male and the female sex gametes they combine, they undergo fertilization, they are able to produce a diploid embryo. But in case of a gamospermy there is involvement of a single parent. Okay, and a single parent, and that single parent is able to produce embryo without fertilization. Okay, that is a different topic. We'll discuss it in another video because it is a quite vast topic and it requires quite an expatriate explanation. So now we'll start with another process which is called as vegetative propagation. So vegetative propagation is a kind of asexual reproduction where from any part of the plant, whether it is a stem part, root part, leaves part, any part of the plant will give rise to a new plant. Okay, that is called as vegetative propagation. So vegetative propagation is a natural phenomenon. Also it can be conducted artificially also for growing certain plants which are becoming extinct. Okay, so here you can see there is a question asked. I am zooming the question. You have learnt about vegetative propagation in plants in class 11. What do you think, is vegetative reproduction also a type of asexual reproduction? So after today's discussion you will come to know whether vegetative propagation is a kind of asexual reproduction or not. Sorry if the screen is blur because there is a problem, net problem. Okay, so why do you say so? Is that term clone applicable to offspring formed by vegetative reproduction? So when we will discuss vegetative propagation in detail you will get to know answer related to this. Okay, and you will be able to answer such questions. So let me tell you that CBSE never asked questions directly that what is bulb or what is vegetative propagation. These kind of questions are not asked. The question is asked always based upon the concept. So let us start with the concept of vegetative propagation. Okay, so I am zooming this picture and we will start with the explanation. So vegetative propagation is the formation of new plant with the vegetative parts. Vegetative parts में क्या क्या आ जाता है? Stem आता है, roots आता है, leaves आता है. These are the vegetative parts. Okay, which are visible outside. Okay, so parts of the plant which help the plant in reproduction with the help of vegetative propagation is stem, root, leaves, etc. So first we will see that how the stems undergo various type of modification to carry out vegetative propagation or reproduction in plants. So the first type of modification which a plant undergoes is runners. Okay, so you can see that this is a plant. Okay, this is a plant and the below part over here is your roots, the above part is the stem part. Okay, now in runner is a type of modification of stem. There will be a horizontal stem arising from the normal stem, which will have several nodes and internodes. So here small dots which you are seeing in between, these are nodes, and the space between them are called as internodes. Okay, now that horizontal stem that is arising will give rise to a new plant, which you are seeing in just beside it. Okay, so this is these types of stem modification where the stem is growing horizontally above the ground surface, and it is having several nodes and internodes, and it is giving rise to a new plant, is called as runners. Okay, now example of runner over here is, you can see in the page, the example of runner is given. The example of runner is cynodon. Okay, cynodon is the doob grass. Doob grass, you must have often heard about doob grass during Durga Puja. Generally doob grass is used in Durga Puja for carrying out various religious activities. Okay, if you are belonging from that area of eastern India where Durga Puja is performed with a lot of celebrations. Okay, so there you will see doob grass, and this doob grass only is a form of runner. Okay, I'll show you another picture of runner so that it is more clear to you, and I'll be able to explain it more clearly. Okay, so see this picture. This is one of the picture of runner. I hope it is very clearly visible to you all. So here you can see that this is your root part, which is below. This is the stem part. The stem part is growing horizontally over here, and it is having several nodes and internodes, and it is giving rise to a new plant. Then this particular plant is growing, the stem is a plant. This is a plant. Okay, it is having several leaves. Okay, several leaves it is having. Then you can see, if you will pluck the leaves, you will see that there is a space, there is a small bulb like structure. So these bulb like structure are only called as nodes, and these nodes are capable of giving rise to a new part of the plant. Okay, or they are capable of giving rise to entirely a new plant. Okay, so this is the importance of leaves, and in the entire vegetative propagation process we will see the importance of nodes. Okay, now let us move to another part, okay, of the same picture. Okay, wait. So here I'll zoom this and we'll see. So we have completed with the runner modification. Now we'll see the second type of modification of stem, that is offset. Okay, offset are almost similar to runners, and they are called as aquatic runners because they are generally found in the aquatic habitats like river, okay, or freshwater habitats. So here you can see that these plants are having roots below and above, and those roots are present in cluster. Above they are having a lot of stem, and all those stems are also present in cluster. Now among all those cluster of stems there will be a node part from where these stems are arising. This is the node part. Okay, and from there will be a stem arising which will run horizontal, and it will give rise to a new plant, and it will run horizontal above the ground surface. This is the ground surface. It will run above horizontally above the ground surface. Okay, and over here there will be only one or two nodes or internodes present. But if we go in the case of if we go in the case of or move to the case of move to the case of the runners, you have seen in the case of runners there were so many nodes and internodes. There were so many nodes and internodes like this. Okay, so example of offset is water hyacinth or Eichhornia plant. Eichhornia plant is also known as terror of Bengal. So let me show you another photograph which will make it clear to you that what is offset. Okay, so here you can see this part, Pistia plant. This is the Eichhornia plant, which is also known as the terror of Bengal. So this is the part, okay, where stems are present in cluster. This is the part where the stems are present in cluster, and this is the part where the root is present in cluster. And among those stems, one part of the stem is growing horizontally above the ground surface and giving rise to a new plant. So if this is a parent plant, this is the baby plant. Okay, same in the case of Pistia also. So this is basically the structure of offset. Offset is almost similar to runner, but the thing is, runners are found generally on the terrestrial surface, and offset is found in the aquatic surface. Another thing which is very very important over here is this particular plant. It has been discussed in NCERT also, that Eichhornia is called as terror of Bengal. What is the reason behind Eichhornia called as terror of Bengal? The reason behind it is Eichhornia was an exotic plant. It was not a plant which used to grow in India. It was brought from some other country. Okay, and it was having a great ability of producing very beautiful flowers. Okay, and moreover it was able to grow or spread faster in one particular lane. Okay, and grow very faster. So what happened, when they started growing faster and faster and faster, they started absorbing maximum oxygen from the aquatic surface or from the aquatic habitats like fresh water. And you know that if maximum oxygen will not be present in the aquatic waters or in the freshwater habitats like rivers or lakes, then all the aquatic animals which are living, or freshwater animals which are living beneath the water, will die. Okay, so this plant, for growing at a very faster rate, was consuming a lot amount of oxygen. Moreover, it grew over the surface of water very fast. Okay, and it absorbed maximum and reduced the amount of oxygen in the water, due to which many fishes died. Okay, and this is the reason why it was called as terror of Bengal. Okay, and moreover it was grown maximum in Bengal region, so it was called as terror of Bengal. So though it was brought for a lucrative purpose, but later on it proved to be very harmful. It was just like a weed, just like wheat plant absorb nutrient from the crop plant. In the same manner, this was absorbing oxygen from the aquatic water habitats, and it was affecting the aquatic system which was lying beneath the water. Okay, so this was why it is called as terror of Bengal. Okay, now in the next video we will proceed with other modification of stem, modification of roots and leaves for vegetative propagation. Okay.